You always need to size up your competition. In some cases, this means giving them a mean look, maybe posture as they walk by. Worst case, flex some muscle. Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, the same mentality can be held true in the automotive world as one manufacturer tries to outdo the next. Now, one segment that's really kind of getting a lot of attention lately is the small car segment, and a lot of estimations over the next few years is it's going to gain about 80%. Now, one such newcomer to the small car market is right here, the 2015 Chevy Trax. Now, I had a little Freudian slip there as I flashed back to the good old days and the Chevy Tracker. Now, that was kind of a fun vehicle. I took it off road on many occasions, so when this came up bearing a similar kind of name, I wanted to take notice. Now, the Chevy Trax goes up against the Nissan Juke, the Kia Soul, and even the Jeep Renegade. With all those, what do they really have in common? Well, overall size, with maybe exterior stylings being the true difference. Now, what you're going to see here on the Trax is a little bit of family lines compared to that of the Buick Encore, with that vehicle maybe offering a little bit more premium than this entry-level model. So what is the big difference here with the Trax and those other models? Well, it starts on the exterior. Now, the Renegade and the Kia Soul both have box-like designs, pretty much straightforward, squared off edges. Now, on the Juke, well, that's a little bit more curvaceous, maybe make you blush. Now, here on the Trax, well, it's kind of a combination of all those models, just a little bit of flair here and there, kind of curved edges. Now, one thing I noticed on this vehicle by the numbers, it's overall small, of course, but really when you get inside, it's kind of a cathedral-like feel. Now, by the numbers, the Trax measures in about 168.5 inches overall, with the wheelbase around about 100 inches. Now, those are small numbers, but it delivers pretty much on the inside with room enough for 5 and heck, a little bit of cargo. Now, one thing to talk about is the wheels and ground clearance, with the wheels starting at 16 inches with 18-inch wheel options on the LTZ model. Now, as for ground clearance, well, it's going to be pretty much snug in the road, around about 6 inches. One thing with low ground clearance means you're going to have some road harshness. It's going to kind of fling itself here on the body paint. Now, what I like is on the lower third, pretty much way down on this vehicle, there's going to be this rubber cladding all the way around the wheels, wraps the vehicle, pretty much giving a lot of protection down low. Now, one thing to think about on the LS model, where you're going to get standard kind of covers here on this one, you're going to get steel wheels. Obviously, upgrade to the LTZ, you get an even bigger bad boys. For chrome on this vehicle, where you may have to go to the Encore because there's very little offering, maybe just a little bit here around the window, around the front headlights, and depending on model, you'll find it on the door handles just the same. Swinging around to the front, maybe this is the drastic difference between the Kia Soul, the Renegade, and this model. Really, with those models having straight front ends and kind of stylized headlights. Now, I like the fact that these are a little above the par, really giving a little bit dynamic approach. Now, one thing you may overlook is the small bow tie up front, because after all, small vehicle, small tie, and again, just a little bit more chrome and some lower body fascia. Now, one thing to talk about, if you upgrade, well, that's going to give you a little bit more premium features like fog lamps down low. Now, one thing I love about small vehicles are small aggravations, and the key to that is the key. Now, it is kind of aggravating here because we don't have the smart key system, something that allows you to put this in your pocket and kind of forget about it. Now we have to use the old traditional key, put in the ignition, and kind of have a little carpal tunnel over the years. Now, one thing with small SUVs has to be the combination of cargo. So let's sweep around the back and take a look. Now, you sweep around to the back of the Trax, this may be one area where you can find some flair, maybe compared to the Juke, with this rear taillight assembly, and heck, maybe even that built-in spoiler. Now, when you talk about small SUVs and the combination of cargo, it all comes together back here. Now, we do want more than a typical sedan, which is about 15 cubic feet. We definitely want more than that, and the Trax does quite well, averaging just below 19 cubic feet. Now, with the rear tailgate out of the way, what you're going to find is much better access than a typical sedan, with a huge wide opening and easy access. Now, under the rear cargo is where you're going to kind of find a modest small spare should you need it. Now, one thing to think about is safety, and this vehicle does come with 10 airbags, and even better, backup parking assist on this particular model, and a standard backup camera. Now, we don't expect it to be rocket science under the hood, and well, that's the case here. Now, what it has is a 1.4 liter inline 4-cylinder. Oh, yeah, it has a turbocharger to boot. Now, what that means is it doesn't go 0 to 60 necessarily like you want, but it delivers decent horsepower, around about 138 horses and 148 foot-pounds of torque. Now, what does that really mean? Well, pretty darn good gas mileage, averaging somewhere between 26 to 34 miles per gallon. Now, this engine is coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission, and it comes in either front-wheel drive model like we have here, or all-wheel drive, even better for getting off the road. Now, we talked about the non-smart key system, and if you haven't seen these before, well, this is how it works. You pretty much take it and I think put it here and turn the key. Now, again, we'd like to replace that with a smart key system, something we've seen on a lot of more economic vehicles. Now, up here on the dash, definitely not standard, with a good old MyLink touchscreen system up here, about 7 inches, and some good old LCD for the speedometer right there front and center. Now, looking at the MyLink system here, what you're going to notice is basically no buttons. Now, this can be problematic, pretty much meaning that you have to always touch the screen and find what you're looking for. And the one thing I didn't necessarily like was the volume control being right here. Now, one shortcut that I did like is they have quicker buttons here on the steering wheel. Now, as for climate control, it's pretty much straightforward with 3 selector knobs for the temperature, speed, and mode. Now, if you do upgrade to the LTZ, you're going to get heated seats as well. Now, as for added storage, you of course got it at the back, but you got to have it up front just the same. And one thing you're going to note, there is no center console, so the dash is the only place you're going to find it. Really, with a nice little niche up front, maybe to hide sunglasses or other items, and kind of 2 little tuck-away niches to the left and right. Now, what I found those to be, maybe to hold your phone in a quick pinch or some added change. Now, there are 2 glove compartments on the dash. The upper one going to be for USB connections, kind of hide away your phones, and the other one down below, standard operating procedure. Now, swinging around to the back row, one thing to talk about is, of course, these seats lay flat. That's going to give you the extra cargo, but when you have people, well, it's pretty much straightforward. Now, there is no kind of ridge here in the middle, so 3 people may fit kind of comfortable back here, but it's really maybe meant for 2. Now, one thing to think about is leg room, and this seat's about where I need it up front, and it's got a decent niche right here to kind of accept your knees and give you a little bit of extra breathing room. Now, you may notice a little bit of a difference in the rear seat back for the front passenger here. Again, for your knees here and maybe a little cargo, but even better if it totally lays flat, allowing you to get extra cargo should you need it. That does for this edition of Road Warrior, and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Chevy Trax, the latest SSUV that we refer to, and really bringing a lot to the table when it comes to that market. Now, things we like, of course, is that sedan-like quality, enough people in there, and that cathedral-like feel, and not a bad power plant under the hood. Better yet, we put some cargo in the back end. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.